Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this webinar today. My name is Mallika, and I am a second year student at the University of Manitoba. I am studying health sciences, and also I'm currently residing in Winnipeg, which I want to acknowledge that I am currently present on Treaty 1 territory, which are ancestral lands, and that these lands are the heartland of the Métis people. So, today we will be talking about social media in sort of critical way. We're going to be seeing the title for this webinar is Seeing Through the Curtain of Social Media. And so let's get into it. So right now, I just want you to take out a second and think, when was the last time that you used social media? And maybe you're on it right now, for which I don't blame you. Social media is quite addictive. Maybe you were on it 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago. Maybe you haven't touched your device in a while and haven't been on it for a few hours, or hell, maybe you're going through a social media detox right now and haven't been on social media for days. But the thing that I want you to realize is that how big of a part social media is in our lives, it's kind of present everywhere we are. We promote things using social media, we get in touch with people using social media. It's crazy. And I just want to talk about an example that, really highlights this. Say you want to go out for brunch with your friends. First, you're going to contact them, usually on social media, and be like, hey, you want to get brunch? They'll be like, yeah. Maybe they'll suggest a brunch place that they saw somewhere on social media. Maybe they saw an acquaintance of theirs go to that particular restaurant or patio, and they're like, I want to go there, influenced by social media. You guys go to the place, and the food gets there, it looks delicious, and you take photos of it. And then you post those photos online. You post them on social media. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I know I've done it loads of times. But I'm just showing you that how social media is there everywhere, wherever we are. And you take pictures sometimes for the purpose of posting them, for the purpose of showing them off to other people. And you know what? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's okay to, show off a nice meal you had or things like that. But the thing I want to highlight is that social media is constantly showing you the other people, the good in other people's life. It's because everyone is trying to show their best selves on social media. So you only see the good. And especially if you're going through a rough patch, you may start comparing yourself. So we're just going to get more into this now by talking about the projection of positive that is so prevalent in social media. So, as I said, everyone is always putting their best foot forward in social media. That's okay. You want to come across as someone who's maybe you want to come across as someone who's put together and who has everything in control. And if you don't know by now, I love talking about examples. So, I'm going to talk about another example. So, there's this sort of tradition among my generation where, once you turn when it's your birthday, you post about it. You're like, oh, hey, I turned 17 today, or something like along those lines. And maybe on your birthday, of course, this would have to be pre-pandemic, but maybe you had a super big party. You hung out with your friends, got really good food, got a lot of gifts, and took pictures, and then you post them on social media. And once again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we're going to consider it from a different perspective. Someone who's sitting at home scrolling through their phone because they're bored. They come across that particular birthday post and they're like, this person spent their 17th birthday, having lots of fun, doing lots of things. And I spent my 17th birthday at home. And once again, they start to subconsciously compare themselves. They're like, damn, I wish my birthday was that fun. And maybe they start to feel a little bit bad about themselves. And this is where the toxicity of social media comes in. It makes people feel bad about themselves. And these are like local scale examples. If we want to go, broader examples, or just talk generally in a broader view, I could talk about influencers and famous people. Because the truth is that the people that go viral on any social media site are the people that are unique. There's a specific 1% of population that are, they have something new to offer to social media platforms. And only different, so quote unquote, different people go viral. And you're always seeing these people because these are the people that have the most followers. These are the people whose posts get the most shares or likes or whatever, you know? And because they're the people that we are constantly surrounded by, we think that these are the normal people, We think that, hey, it's totally normal to do this amount of activity every day, and be that good at it. And then we start to think, hey, maybe we're the ones that are below average, which, what, isn't necessarily true. Like you'll see super smart people online that go viral because, hey, maybe they made a discovery at 20 and you're like, wow, I'm going into my fifth year of my 4-year degree. That's not that must mean I'm a failure. And no, it does not mean that at all. It just means that your circumstances are different than theirs. Maybe you'll see someone with an incredible house or something like that. And you'll be like, huh, I wonder how they got that. Or I wish I could have a house like that, but I must not be working hard enough. But what you don't realize is that maybe they come from a wealthier family than you do. And hard work doesn't always mean success, and success doesn't always mean hard work. So that is a problem with the projection of positive because nobody wants to show their bad sides, right? There's always, always, always going to be an omission of negative in social media. And of course, there are a few exceptions to this because there are a few exceptions to everything. But when I talk about this, I am generalizing it because what people do is that they rarely broadcast the bad because they don't want to show the negatives to people. They want other people to think that, oh, look at me, I'm put together, I do great, you know and once again, another example. Consider someone who's very, academically inclined. Maybe they're a straight A student. Now consider them not doing so well in an assignment or maybe even failing it, and people ask them, oh, how's the assignment for you? They'll have built up a reputation by then, and they probably don't want other people to think that, oh my God, I'm a failure. They don't want other people to change their viewpoint of them. So they might just omit the truth. They'll be like, oh, I could have done better, or it was okay, but whatever. And then other people would just automatically think, oh, they're just being humble, or they're just sad because they got like an 80 and they want 90s. You know, because of that like assumption, people will be like, whatever, this person is already so much better than me. And because that person has omitted the negative facts. And once again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Of course, nobody has to omit their negative, like, nobody has to tell everyone the negative parts of their life. This is just something that I am pointing out. And a lot of the times, like, say, in the case of influencers, they don't want to talk about the bad things. They want to broadcast that they have no problems when in reality they just kind of hide the problems. And a lot of the times this can be because they have built up an audience and they want to be the best version of themselves for their audience, to keep their audience and to keep up appearances. and for their audience to basically idolize them and think that they're perfect. But we all know that nobody is perfect. Perfect didn't exist. And so, of course, people are not going to be, start telling everyone everything about their life. So, we need to discuss the importance of being honest with ourselves, the importance of honesty. Because I know through my own experiences and by talking to the student community that whenever we struggle with mental health, most of us just kind of try and push through it instead of, actually dealing with the core issue. Because social media, whether directly or indirectly, it does influence us a great deal. Maybe you followed some study accounts at the beginning of the semester to feel more motivated, and you're like, you see them studying 10 hours a day, and you're like, huh, I can't do that. So I just must be burnt out or tired or not working hard enough. And maybe you're just not in the right courses at that moment, but you brush it off because you see those people doing that thing and you're like, oh, it's okay. I'm just tired right now, or I'm just burned out, I'll be fine in a few days once I relax. I just need to recharge. And you deflect the problem because the problems are always more than that. Problems are very rarely superficial. And instead of actually doing the hard work and digging deep into them and figuring it out, we just deflect them or kind of cover them up because society has taught us that, we should always try our best to be perfect and try our best to be okay. But we need to realize that it is okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to struggle. It's okay to look a certain way, it's okay to have more body fat than your peers or to have less body fat than your peers. It's okay to not be good at some things, and it's most definitely okay to not be perfect and have problems that you need to deal with, because your work that just means once you recognize that, that just means that you're finally working on yourself. And so how do you go about that? How do you start working for yourself, You got to do this by correcting your toxic traits. So everyone has toxic traits. I have toxic traits. You probably have toxic traits. Almost everyone I know has toxic traits. If they don't, I probably don't know them well enough. Um, the thing is, because when you start comparing yourself to other people, it's really bad for your mental health. That's what happens on social media. We directly or indirectly compare ourselves to other people. And it is very important to unlearn these toxic traits, but it is a really hard and really lengthy procedure. But the best way to go about it is to form habits that actually give you pleasure in the long term. So, what habit you choose is entirely up to your personality, right? It's up to who you are as a person and what gives you joy. So, there's a multitude of productive hobbies. You can do a lot of things. For example, journaling. Maybe you're into bullet journaling or writing long entries, or say 5 things you're grateful for every day. Maybe you like physical exercise, that also comes in various forms. Maybe you like weightlifting, maybe you like yoga, maybe you like hiking, maybe you like basketball, things like that. And some people, they like to make clothes, some people make pottery, some people bake, some people cook, some people garden and buy a lot of plants. I'm guilty of that one. But the thing is that it is these hobbies that, that keep you true to yourself. And it is very important to keep doing these hobbies by building self discipline. So, another example, I'm going to talk about someone I know personally. So, they their habit of choice is exercise, and they go to the gym like 5 to 6 times a week. And once I asked them, I was like, how do you stay motivated? How do you manage to get up at 5 a.m. every single day, go to the gym before your classes, before everything, and then come home? And they were like, oh, I don't stay motivated. A lot of the times I just, I want to wake up. I wake up and I want to just go back to sleep. And they're like, once I started seeing like influencers on social media that went to the gym every day, I was like, whoa, they must be seriously motivated. Like they want to go to the gym every day. It doesn't look like they miss a day. And I was like, why can't I do that? And then my friend told me, they were like, but it is not healthy to rely on motivation. What's more important is building self discipline. They said that it was their self discipline that got them, into that hobby, that got them into the gym at 5 a.m. every single morning and got them, really working on themselves. So as I said, gotta build self discipline, because what you're doing when you're building self discipline and continuing those habits is that you're building the lifestyle that you want, and you're investing in your health. And eventually, you're becoming a person that you actually want to be, instead of trying to be someone you're not. Maybe you've been following trends online because they're trends, and maybe they don't feel right for you because that's not who you are. And maybe once you start to, try and figure that out, you will figure that out and maybe start comparing yourself a little bit less to what we see on social media. So, another thing that most people don't realize is that this is not like a 1 step, 5 step, 10 step process. It is a never ending journey. People often think that once they hit a goal that they'll be happy. They see people online and they're like, oh wow, that person is in such a stable relationship. If I got into a stable relationship, I would definitely be happy. Their parents, they see someone else's child on social media who like got into law school or med school or something like that. And their parents are like, oh my gosh, you like look at their parents would be so proud of them. And you're like, maybe if I got into law school, my parents would be proud of me and I would be happy. Comparison, you know? So you start to set goals for yourself, and goals that, once you achieve, you will be happy. But once you achieve them, do you really think that you will be forever happy because you got into a law school? Do you think getting into a law school when you're 25, sorry, I don't know how law school works, but I'm just going to assume that 25 is a viable age to go into law school. Do you really think getting into law school at age 25 is going to give you happiness when you're like 55? No, it's not, because happiness isn't something that is achieved. It's something that is maintained. It's something that we maintain by constantly, taking care of yourselves. And because taking care of yourself is a never ending journey, you're gonna have bad points, and it is, you're gonna deal with that and you're gonna recover from the bad points. And social media doesn't always show that. They don't show the bad points. They only show the good, and they only show, well, the good covering the bad, if I'm being honest. So, because to appreciate the highs, you have to go through the lows, because you're always, at this level, you're always high. It's not going to have a meaning anymore. It's just how it is. But if you're like this, I don't know if you guys can see me, but if you're like that, at pretty stable highs with, some lows, then you're going to really start to appreciate them, because those things like that, random things don't make you happy. Goals don't. And being happy isn't like, who you are or whatever. How it's how you deal with your struggles, and what your struggles, the struggles that you choose to pursue and how you deal with them that make you who you are and that, lead you down the path to true happiness. And that is all I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed that and thank you for listening. This webinar was all thanks to Rising Youth, and I myself am a Rising Youth alumni, which was a very nice experience for me. So I hope you check them out. And thank you for listening to me.